even though I did everything that the doctors told me to do over the years, from taking the medicines to just any techniques that they could give me to try to help, I just kept getting worse and worse. And I had a little girl. I was married and I gave birth to a beautiful little girl, my daughter Jasmine. And when I had her, for quite a long time, it was very challenging for me to even hold her. Like I would have to lay next to her on the bed or on the ground and like cuddle her and put my hands on her, because even just holding her would cause really excruciating, inexplicable pain. And I realized that I had to figure it out. I had done everything the doctors had suggested. I was getting worse, and I needed to find a way. And so fast forward a few years, because I could barely walk by the time I came to the medicines. I couldn't take her to the park because if she got away from me, I couldn't run after her and get her. And it was like by synchronicity, or divine intervention, I came across this article. Ayahuasca and shamans had kind of kept coming into my awareness. I've always been a meditator. I have just a little guided meditations channel on YouTube that has a couple of meditations on it. It's called Soul Journey Meditations. And it's always been a very important practice for me. But I kept getting shamans and ayahuasca, and I had no idea about any of it. And I ended up reading an article, and it said that they were investigating and doing research, and that they believed that ayahuasca could create neurogenesis and neuroplasticity in the brain, which a light bulb just really went off for me, because I'm like, that's a medical miracle. In DARE and other programs, we learned that the brain tissue would be eroded. And once it was eroded, there was no possibility in growing it back or really changing it. It was just stuck there. Like, I don't know if anybody remembers, but they would, show the slides of like the Swiss cheese looking brain. And so that it clicked in for me. And I was like, this means that it can regrow brain tissue. And then I had a further epiphany, because I was like, if this can regrow brain tissue, fibromyalgia is a nervous system condition. And so all of the nerves are comprised of the same tissue as the brain. So I just got this crazy idea in my head that if I drank enough of this brew, I could regrow and regenerate and heal my nervous system. And so I immediately was like, where can I do this? And, I found Soul Quest, and it was stateside. It was a couple days. The price point, it wasn't thousands and thousands of dollars. So I wouldn't have to, travel abroad. I could leave and come home in a few days to be there for my daughter. It wasn't unaffordable. And I saw that they had, a doctor on staff and paramedics, and I was like, okay. So, because with all these health issues, I was like, realistically, I have no idea how I'm going to respond to this. And so having the doctor and the paramedics was just really gave me all the good feels. And so I literally booked a retreat for the following weekend and got on a plane, and I went down to Soul Quest, and I started drinking the ayahuasca there, and I was like, this is it. And the journeys for about the first year were excruciatingly painful. Being on the medicine and the recovery for me physically, because I felt like it was really purging a lot of this energy out of my nervous system that had been making me sick. But I just, the first time I was there, all these things just made so much sense. And I was like, this is what the church is meant to be. I feel like this was the original intention, is people coming together and in unconditional love, in neutrality, in compassion, in non-judgment, and just being present and holding space for, their brothers and sisters to release and to heal, and connecting on all the beautiful things we have in common, and celebrating life and celebrating growth. And I was just like, I don't know where this is going to take me, but I just, because I had no idea I would be doing any of this work at all, and I had no intention of doing that. I just was like, I really need to be able to take my daughter to the park, and so.
And how did you feel after that first weekend? How did you feel?
I felt a new inspiration for life. I felt like everything had finally made sense. As soon as the ayahuasca kicked on, I was like, oh my God, because I had been doing journey work without psychedelics, but I had never done them, so I didn't know how they worked. I hadn't experienced it, so I didn't know. And I was like, wow, I'm doing journey work, but like I'm quantum, like I'm everywhere. And like, there's all the, these things happening, and just, cause I would go into my psyche, journey in there, and see what was troubling and what was causing pain. I had been doing the work for a while, but like, I was not able to move it out or purge it. And the ayahuasca, I mean, it was just like, I was like, I'm in here with an excavation tool, and I was able to just really start purging these energies, and really start, just cleaning up everything internally. And it changed my life. And the second time I went, because I heard about the volunteer program, and so I was happy to volunteer. And then every time I went from there on out, I would go down and I would drink a weekend, and I would volunteer for a weekend, just to be in the environment. And because it's just such a deep honor to be there for others, and just
you definitely explained a lot of how this all works. I mean, people say, how'd you find this medicine? How'd you do? You really explained this pathway really well, because we get that notion, then we kind of look into that, and then we do it, and then we say, oh my God, look what this did for me. And then you talk about the purgatories, which, I think is the most beneficial part of this medicine. I mean, by far. And then all your releases. So the whole process came, and then you just started becoming more aware of yourself. And I love how this medicine works like that. It just really can purge you, and then you refresh with new, and your neurons are all changing. And at the same time, it's all just encompassing, and it's really powerful. And I remember a lot of things. I think you nailed a lot of points really well. I think, that church really built a good community, and I think that's what we were missing. And there was some parts of it where there was COVID involved, and there was this involved. So the opportunity that we had there, we were blessed. I mean, I don't think we could have ever had better timing, better timing, but we were just blessed with how that happened. And, then you dove into this other area of Bufo. And, after my few experiences with ayahuasca, because I sat with that medicine quite a bit to get that purge out. But, there was still something missing. And after about sitting with this medicine 20 sometimes, Bufo, I experienced Bufo, and holy smokes, that was just like next level. Now I understand. Now I see. And, being on this path for this long, and not this long, but just doing this and seeing how these medicines work, there is a pathway to these medicines for sure.